Okay, continue here. And like I said, I'll be focusing more attention on this one, this camera here, instead of this camera, because I feel that this is going to be deleted, but not this because I have it in my possession. I can always put it up again if it's been deleted. Okay. And I think this probably will be deleted because a blamer said, while blaming a video, a YouTube video, an anti-Islam video no one ever saw, for Benghazi at the UN, he said, make no mistake, there must be no future for those that would slander the Prophet of Islam. And you want to know something? You know what slandering the Prophet of Islam is in Islam? It's just doing what I'm doing, which is questioning the Quran, questioning Muslims about what's in the Quran and Hadith. That's called slandering the Prophet of Islam. That gets your head sawed off. So a blamer just admitted that he wants Sharia law imposed when he said there must be no future for those that would slander the Prophet of Islam. Okay, I'll continue here. Mr. Keith Moore, one of the best embryologists in the world, proved that Quran is right about embryology. False. For nowhere does Mr. Moore say embryos are blood clots. He tries to say the Quran is saying it's like a blood clot, not that it is a blood clot, like you get in the Quran and the Hadiths. No one can compete with him concerning embryology. Watch this video. And I saw it. More like no one can compete with him in keeping a straight face as he tries to twist the meaning of the Quran and Hadiths about embryos being blood clots. Embryology in the Quran, Much Ado About Nothing by Hamza Tartus refuted. He hopes it's much ado about nothing, but the fact of the matter is the Quran still has the surah as the clot, and still has it as he who created mankind from a clot of blood, not quote, who created mankind from a clot-like substance that is clinging. So it is much ado about something. You say it's not a clinging leech-like substance, not if that is scientific to begin with. It's actually a real blood clot due to the read in the name of your Lord who created man, created man from a clot of blood. Notice it didn't say who created. You say, notice it didn't say created man from a clinging leech-like substance. And it's even worse for the Quran because you have some hadith that says this. And then I said, right, I'm going to read it to you. I'll read it to you also. Here we go. I'll even read it to you. We used to sit with Abdullah, and they mentioned a man together with aspects of his character. Abdullah said, what would you think if you cut off his head? Would you be able to put it back on again? No, they replied. He said, and his hand? No, they said. And his foot? They said, no. He said, no, he said, you cannot change his character until you change his physical form. The drop remains in the womb for 40 nights, and then the blood congeals, becomes a blood clot. Not appears to be, it could be not appears to congeal into blood. It says it congeals. Then the blood congeals, and then it becomes a clot, a blood clot. Where does it say it looks like a blood clot here? And then a lump of flesh, and then Allah sends an angel, and He records his provision, his character, his provision, his character, and whether or not he will be happy or miserable in the next world. And then there's the Arabic for it. Okay, now then Sahih Muslim, the Book of Destiny, Kitab ul-Qadr. You want to know something? I found a lot more than this, but these are just the ones I found a few days ago. So these are the ones I'm reading. I've actually found more than this. Anas bin Malik reported directly from Allah's Messenger, Papa, that he said, Allah the Exalted, the Glorious, has appointed an angel to the as a caretaker of the womb, and he would say, my Lord, it is now a drop of semen. My Lord, it is now a clot of blood. My Lord, it has now become a lump of flesh. Does it say like a lump? Does it say like a clot of blood? Okay, now move on to the next one. This is Sahih Muslim, the Book of Faith, Kitab. Anas B. Malik reported that Gabriel came to the messenger of Allah, Paba, while he was playing with his playmates. Oh, it's like a kid, isn't he? He took a hold of him and lay him... Oh, this is... Okay. It just says clot. The reason why I put this here is because I wanted to put through clot... I wanted to put through Google Translate it and see if it came out that he had a leech on his leg instead of a blood clot. Okay. Okay, the evil eye, Muwatta Malik. Yahya related to me the story of Malik from Zayd ibn Aslan. A man received a wound in... Okay, yeah, that's right, I did the same thing here. So that blood clot. I just put it here to see if I could, when I put it through the Arabic, it would say leech instead of a blood clot. And you know something, when I put it through Google Translate, it didn't translate. But I'll try it again later and see if it says a leech instead of a blood clot. Sahih Muslim, the Book of Destiny, Abdullah bin Masud reported that Allah's messenger, Paba, who was the most truthful, oh yeah, I'm familiar with this one, of the human beings, and his being truthful is a fact, said, verily, your creation is on this wise. The constituents of one of you are collected for 40 days in his mother's womb in the form of blood. So for 40 days, you're blood. You're not sperm. You're blood. After which it becomes a clot of blood in another period of 40 days. So then another 40 days, you're a clot of blood. But they're going to try to say this is like a clot of blood or a leech-like substance. Then it becomes a lump of flesh, and then 40 days later, Allah sends His angels with the instructions concerning 4 things, you know, which shows you that there's absolutely no such thing as free will in Islam, because it's all special instructions written before you're born of whether or not you're going to go in heaven to hell or hell. Now this is al-Bukhari, beginning of creation, narrated Abdullah bin Masud. Allah's apostle, the true and truly inspired, said, the matter of creation of a human being is put together in the womb of the mother in 40 days. And then he becomes a clot of thick blood for a similar period. In other words, 40 days also. Where were the words like... I want to ask a question here. Where were the words like a clot of thick blood? It says it becomes a clot of thick blood, and then a piece of flesh for a similar period. Now there was another 40 days. So it's 40 days blood, then 40 days a blood clot, then 40 days a lump of flesh. Oh, that's scientific. Then Allah sends an angel who is ordered to write 4 things. He is ordered to write down that is the new creature's deeds, his livelihood, his date of death, and whether he will be blessed or wretched in religion. Then the soul is breathed into him. So a man amongst you may be good deeds till there was only a cubit between him and paradise, and then what is written for him decides his behavior, and he starts doing evil deeds, characteristic of the people of hellfire, or decides to go, if he's going to hell, but then since doing the good things, he starts going to paradise due to those deeds. So it goes to show you there's no such thing as free will in Islam. It's all predestination. So if someone doesn't believe like you, don't blame him, blame Allah. Then there's al-Bukhari, oneness, uniqueness of Allah, narrated Abdullah bin Masud. Allah's apostle, the true and truly inspired, narrated to us. The creation of every one of you starts with a process of collecting the material for his body within 40 days and 40 nights in the womb of his mother. Then he becomes a clot of thick blood for a similar period of 40 days. So for 40 days you're collected in your mother's womb as blood. Then another 40. And this Muslim I was talking to tried to say, well, it's all that 40 days is all within 40 days. You know? No, it says 40 days. And then it says, then becomes a clot of thick blood for a similar period, 40 days. And then he becomes like a piece of flesh for a similar period. So if you go from a clot, then go from blood for 40 days, then another 40 days you're a blood clot, and then another 40 days you're a lump of flesh. And that's scientific? Huh. Then an angel is sent to him by Allah, and the angel is ordered to write 4 things: his livelihood, his date of death, his deeds, and whether he will be wretched or be a wretched one, or a blessed one in the hereafter, proving that there's no such thing as free will in Islam. That when Allah leads on and off the right path, according to the quote, clear signs Quran, it means it. And then the soul is breathed into him. So one of you may do good deeds. May do good deeds, characteristics of the people of paradise, so much that there is nothing except a cubit between him and paradise. But then what has been written for him decides his behavior, and he starts doing evil deeds, characteristic of the people of hellfire, and ultimately enters hellfire. And one of you may do evil deeds, characteristics of the people of hellfire, so much so that there is nothing except a cubit between him and hellfire. And then what has been written of him decides his behavior, and he starts doing good deeds, characteristics of the people of paradise, that ultimately enters paradise. See Hadith number 430, volume 4. That's from Bukhari. And then here's another one, 40 Hadith Nawa'i. On the authority of Abdullah ibn Masud bin al-Taba, who said, the Messenger of Allah, and he is the truthful and believed, narrated us, verily the creation of one of you is brought together in his mother's womb for a period of 40 days, in the form of a drop. Then it becomes an alaka, clot of blood. It doesn't say leech here, it says clot of blood. It doesn't even say like a blood clot, it says clot of blood, for a like period, in other words, 40 days. Then a morsel of flesh, for a like period, and there was another 40 days. Then there is sent to an angel, and then you find out that there's no such thing as free will, just predestination due to the special instructions Allah wrote. Now there's Sahih Muslim, the book of faith. Aisha, the wife of Allah's apostle Paba, reported the first form, which started the revelation of messenger of Allah. Oh yeah, it comes down, blah, 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 recite. Yeah, to which he replied, I am not lettered. Well, actually, it's actually read. Yeah. And he took hold of me, the apostle said, and pressed me, till I was hard pressed. Therefore he left me off and said, recite. Actually, it's read. I said, I am not lettered. You can recite even if you're not lettered, so stupid really means read here. He then took hold of me and pressed me for the second time till I was hard pressed, and then let me off and said, recite, to which I replied, I'm not lettered. He took a hold of me and pressed for the third time till I was hard pressed, then he let me go and said, recite in the name of your Lord who created man from a clot of blood. Recite. Notice it doesn't say like a clot of blood. Says, I create you from a clot of blood. Where does it say like a clot of blood? Where does it say even from a leech or like a leech? It doesn't. Anyway, then the Muslim says, oh, see, do I have any time here? Oh, I gotta stop it here. 5.